But I'm Mike Wilbon. I went to the NASCAR Championship yesterday, Tony. Ask me anything about it.
Tony Kornheiser, you already trying to divert me from your sorry Bears with this NASCAR stuff? Come on.
Yes.
Come on.
Yes, I gave up football yesterday. I saw Joey Logano win, but I was not rooting for Joey Logano and Penske. You know who I was rooting for? Rooting for 23-11. 23.
Yeah,
Michael Jordan.
Sure, I understand that.
He needs another ring. He needs another trophy.
Sure.
He could use one.
Sure, his mantle has room for something maybe this big.
Yeah.
Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, the Steelers top the Commanders, Ole Miss knocks off Georgia, and some truly terrible losses in the NFL. But we begin today with two last-second wins yesterday by the conference leaders, Kansas City and Detroit. Kansas City beat Denver by blocking a 35-yard field goal attempt and hanging on 16-14. Detroit scored all the points in the second half and came back from 16 down with a 52-yard field goal and beat Houston in Houston 26-23. So, Wilbon, what's the bigger win by a top seed, the Chiefs or the Lions?
So every week now I love starting this way on an NFL Monday. And every week now for about the last 5 weeks, my answer is Detroit. It's Detroit. It's Detroit. And I'm not hating on the Chiefs, who are amazing in the way they win games. That's what champions do. But it's Detroit, Tony. Detroit went on the road to Houston. I know Houston's lost like 3 or 4, but Houston's still really good. They ran up that lead. Your MVP threw 5 interceptions, and they got over a 5-pick game on the road. And their coach says at halftime, here's what we're going to do. We're going to get a turnover. We're going to play better defensively. We're going to turn that turnover into – he blueprints it on the air, and they do it. It's Detroit. They're on the road. Kansas City was at home, where they enjoy what I believe to be the 3 great home courts in the league are Green Bay, Kansas City, and Detroit. And Detroit. Those are the 3 to me. They're at home. Detroit on the road. Tony, what the Lions are doing, and they're doing it without Aiden Hutchinson. They did it without defense at all in the first half. Detroit is amazing. I'd love to see Detroit, Kansas City. I hope we're steering toward that. I really do.
Yeah, so I'm going to have a little honest disagreement here because I think it's Kansas City, and the reason I think it's Kansas City is because it's a miracle win. They are supposed to lose that game. Denver did everything they're supposed to do. They retained possession of the ball. They bled the clock. They lined up for a last-second field goal. How many field goals in the NFL are blocked? The answer is not many.
35 yards.
Not many.
Wow.
That they're going to win. Denver's going to win. And so by winning that game, Kansas City, and by staying undefeated, to me, they have a sort of mythological sense of invincibility now. Because they're supposed to lose that. Detroit's win is different to me in this regard. Yes, they get credit for being on the road. Kansas City gets some credit for beating a division rival. So I think that balances out. But Detroit went out there and progressively won that game.
Yeah.
They outscored the other team 19-0 the second half. They shut down Houston completely. There was a sense to me of an inevitability of the way Detroit did that. They held the fort. They were grinding, as a true championship team should do. But to me, they had a right to win because they were piling it on, going further and further and further, whereas Kansas City was a miracle. So that's why I say Kansas City.
Yeah, the opponent was a little tougher, too. Denver's a worthy team now. They're a worthy opponent.
Denver's gotten better.
Tony, but the home field, Kansas City's a massive home field advantage. And playing in Houston, I thought was a little tougher. Anyway, one of the best matchups on the Sunday schedule really did deliver. George Pickens scored first, Mike Williams last, and the Steelers edged the Commanders 28-27 in what was a true back-and-forth game. Rookie defensive tackle Johnny Newton later got drawn offside on a critical 4th and 1 that kept the Commanders from getting the ball back and into the hands of Jaden Daniels, who had his struggles. That rarely happens. Tone, what did you learn from the Steelers beating the Commanders?
Well, I learned, first of all, how much I hate the name Commanders, and I wish they would change that. That's number one. What did I learn about the Steelers? I learned again, Mike, that I was wrong about Russell Wilson, that Russell Wilson is still very good. It did not work out at all in Denver. It works out perfectly in Pittsburgh. Mike Tomlin put him in. The Steelers are 3-0 with Russell Wilson. They are averaging 383 yards of offense per game and 30 points per game. And with Justin Fields, they average 21. All right, now Russell Wilson didn't have the greatest day in the world, but he dropped it down the chimney to Mike Williams when he had to. He did that. The only thing that causes me to back off the Steelers a little bit actually is their upcoming schedule. They have 2 with Baltimore, 2 with Cincinnati. They got the Eagles and the Chiefs. That's a really tough schedule. What did I learn about Washington? They're legit as a playoff team. They're actually a good team at this point. They went toe-to-toe with a very good team. They were in there at the end of the game, right? Jaden Daniels has reason. He gives people in Washington, D.C., like you and I, he gives us hope. He does not turn the ball over, and he's very calm. And there's a lesson to be learned here in one other thing, that if you ever see a veteran quarterback under center on 4th and 1 late in the game, the defensive line coach has to say to his players who are rookies, it's a trick. Yeah. Don't fall for it. They're not gonna snap the ball.
Don't do it. Look at you're lined up right there. You got to look at the ball, which I hear great defensive players say. Tony, like you, I learned about. I'm glad this is confirmation about Russell Wilson, because I like to root against Sean Payton anyway, and that's cool because Sean Payton's a worthy dude. Sean Payton wears a championship ring. You can root against him. I do. He got rid of Russ. And Russ had a little bit left, and Mike Tomlin thought that. Yep. And that's why Mike Tomlin said at the beginning of the season, I continue with my NASCAR analogies, he's in the pole position, Russ is, and he put Justin Fields on the bench, and Fields handled it beautifully. It also reminds you that the Steelers understand who their coach is and who's running that show, okay? And Mike Tomlin says, we're going to be a little bit better. They can throw the ball down the field. Even when Russ isn't great, Tony, he's got touch on the deep ball. He can get down there. That's right. The Steelers have to feel they're a different kind of threat. And yes, I agree. With Washington, they are worthy. That was an even game. Even game.
So here's the thing about Washington. Washington, this has happened overnight. They are a much better team overnight. They were 4-13 last year. They changed coaches. They changed coordinators. They changed quarterbacks. They empowered the GM to bring in all new people.
Managed.
And now they're,
now they're 7-3. Owned all of it.
They are. It's 25 years of bad football gone in the snap of a finger. Let's turn to college football, where there were good games everywhere you looked. The headline is probably that Ole Miss plain suffocated Georgia. They were down 7-0 early. They scored 28 of the next 31 points against the number 3 team in the nation. Wilbon, do you have Ole Miss's win as clearly the biggest result of the weekend?
Clearly, no. No, I don't. I look at – I know that Indiana struggled a little bit with Michigan, but they beat Michigan. It's a big hurdle. Indiana's got this many 10-win seasons ever. Won this one. They just got there.
That's right.
Indiana, that was a big result for those of us in the Midwest. And also Colorado winning that game, Tony. Colorado beating Texas Tech in what was, at least for 3 quarters, a thriller. A thriller. And they have gotten, look, people want to question what Deion does and transfer portal and who he brings in and is he a great coach. Okay, so they went from nothing 2 years ago to excitement last year to now being a threat. Colorado's going to play 3 games left in their regular season and be favored in all 3 of them to get to the conference title game, in which they're probably going to have to beat BYU. Okay, fine. That's the game. And that game could yield a spot in the playoff. Come on now. No, Deion in Colorado, it will. No, Deion in Colorado, I thought was as big.
I give credit to Deion. He inherited a team that was 1-12, and he's now 7-2, and he's won 6 out of 7. Even if you don't like him, because you think he's a polarizing figure, you've got to give credit to how he has coached there. It's been terrific. I think the Ole Miss thing is a real big deal because Lane Kiffin was 0-5 against Alabama and Georgia, and they won that game going away. But I got 2 other things that are important. I think Miami losing is a big deal.
Yes, it was.
Nobody saw that coming.
No.
Because now I think that reduces or could reduce the ACC to a 1-bid league, which leads me to something. Alabama throttled LSU at LSU, and no amount of live tigers in the stadium can change that. What it does change for me is this notion, and I think we'll be talking about this for a few weeks. I think a 3-loss team from the SEC may very well get into a 12-team playoff. Georgia has 2 losses. Alabama has 2. Ole Miss has 2. Tennessee has 1. Texas has 1. But Tennessee has to go to Georgia. Texas has to go to Texas A&M. And then there's a conference championship game. Yeah. I think there is going to be a bona fide 3-loss team in the SEC that could play in the playoffs. And I know how you feel about this. You think the SEC and the Big Ten have eaten college football, and you think it's junk.
It's a challenge.
But I think it's
like
a big
basketball.
deal.
Remember they used to do the Big East, SEC, Big Ten, SEC challenge. Okay, fine. There's no drama to that for me, and that's my conference. I don't care. They just want to have an invitational. Name it. Then make it what it is. Then be bold enough, marketing people, to just say we don't want you other folks. This is the SEC Big Ten deal.
And the Big Ten.
Wing ding. That's what it is. Yeah. That's the truth of it.
Let's take a break. Coming up, the Jets and Cowboys got blowed out. But did the Bears have the worst loss of the weekend?
Yes. Can we move on now? Jaylen Brown, is he right to be annoyed by Giannis and that fake handshake? You know.
By the way, Mike Tomlin now 26-6 against rookie quarterbacks, 14-4 after bye. You like
narrow.
that?
It was narrow
you like
yesterday.
That?
Pardon me.
It's time to find out what's moving the multitudes in mail time. I get the first one here. Here we go. Which team had the worst loss? The Jets, the Cowboys, or your Bears?
This is easy. I mean, the Bears. The Bears had people be surprised. As much trouble as the Bears had the 2 previous weeks, they came into this with the longest winning streak at home winning streak in the NFL. And they have no spirit. The Hail Mary from now 2+ weeks ago against Washington, I told you, Tony, it took their spirit. They're done. And they've fallen and they can't get up. The offensive coordinator needs to be relieved, if not fired. I don't even know about the head coach anymore. Caleb Williams gets sacked on every play. 4 offensive linemen were missing. But still, you got to figure out a way to protect them with some play calling. They can't do it. They were at home. I mean, the Jets fell and can't get up weeks ago. And so that's not a surprise. No, it's the Bears. And I told you they look like a 6-11 team. I don't know where they can get the 6. They look like a 4-13 team with 6 games coming against the toughest division opponents in football. They're done.
Yeah, I agree with that. It is the Bears. And the reason it's the Bears is because they actually lost to a terrible team. New England is a terrible team. And the number 1 overall draft pick, who I know you love dearly, Caleb Williams, a quarterback, he's going backwards a little bit. And maybe it would help him, as it helps a lot of rookies, to sit for a while, to sit and watch and get a sense of what the NFL really is. Because he threw 30 passes yesterday, gained 120 yards. That's 4 yards an attempt. That's just really not good enough. And we would say that about anybody. And he was sacked 9 times. So he's not getting any help whatsoever.
There's no coaching.
You called this weeks ago. You said they were going to go down the drain, and they're going down the drain. The reason it's not the Jets or the Cowboys is because they lost to first-place teams. Right? They lost to better teams
don't have the
than them.
They're done too.
No, and now we can, to a degree, we can rejoice in their losses in this sense. We don't have to talk about the Jets and the Cowboys.
We don't.
I don't care what they do on first day.
We don't.
We don't have to.
Others will. I'm sure others led with the Cowboys and the Jets.
Unless they win 5
did.
in a row, which seems unlikely. So good night, Aaron, and good night, Jerry. Right? Good night. Okay.
Good night.
Nail this.
Good night.
Next, here we
good
go.
news.
Is Jaylen Brown right to be miffed at Giannis's fake handshake?
Yeah, this is so great. It's such a playground moment. That Giannis, after he reaches out as if he's going to dap up, Jaylen Brown, just to say, hey, all is cool after swinging an elbow and hitting him, should have been flagrant foul. And then he takes it back. This is playground 101. It made me laugh out loud. Jalen's not miffed. He's just not. He's annoyed, and he should be called Giannis a child. That was completely appropriate and within his right to call Giannis a child. Giannis laughed about it and said, I'd do it again. Playground moment. It's good. People don't overthink it. Don't try to assign, analytics to it. It's 2 dudes just sort of going at each other who are very worthy champions. They wear rings.
Okay, so here's how I felt when I saw it. I just said, well, exactly what is this? I mean, what is Giannis trying to do, really? Because to me, it looked like something out of the movie Grease. It looked like a high school moment. And I thought, what exactly are you doing? But I assumed to myself that they were close friends and their relationship was fine. And then I found out that Jaylen Brown was a little bit peeved at this. And he, as you said, he called Giannis a child. And Giannis, in self-defense, said, and I'm quoting here, we always joke around, this is who I am. I play the game with fun and joy. And I thought to myself, really, I know you play the game with fun and joy. I guess it's fun and joy when you get coaches fired as well.
2-8.
I love the way Giannis plays basketball. But if I had to choose a side here, I think I would be with Jaylen Brown.
Oh, I'm with Jaylen Brown, too. But again, you played 100 million pickup basketball games in your life growing up. Did somebody not do that to you, and did you not do that to some? Of course we did. It's a playground moment.
I didn't.
Yeah, you did.
Well, if I did that now, I would be running my hands through no hair at all.
I can ask Julius Erving if you did it. He'll tell me the truth. The doc will tell me there's probably video of you doing that on Long Island somewhere.
Enough email. Let's take one last break. Still to come, Deebo Samuel expresses his displeasure with the Niners kicking team.
Man, that was more offensive. Crazy number of injuries are just killing the NBA right now. Killing the early season.
I think it gets closer and closer for Giannis to go somewhere else. I do. All these little things. I think they mount up.
I agree.
I do. Happy time, people. Happy 38th birthday, Mark Sanchez. Sanchez is best known for the notorious butt fumble, a staple on blooper reels, but he has more or less outrun that now that he's a television analyst on Fox. Sanchez was the 5th overall pick in the 2009 draft out of USC by the Jets. Then USC coach Pete Carroll disagreed with Sanchez leaving school, as Sanchez had only been the USC starter for one season. Sanchez had only limited success with the Jets, though more than other high draft pick quarterbacks who succeeded him on the Jets, like Sam Darnold, also out of USC, and Zach Wilson. It's ironic that the Jets quarterback now, Aaron Rodgers, is older than Sanchez.
And still, Sanchez went to an AFC championship game. Rodgers ain't doing that, okay? So while the Bears may have had a worse loss yesterday, the Jets got kicked in the teeth. It's a good day for some of us.
Not so happy anniversary, San Francisco 49ers. On this day 39 years ago, a Denver Broncos fan threw a snowball as the 49ers were lined up for a chip shot field goal late in the first half at Mile High, with San Francisco trailing 14-3. The snowball distracted the holder, Scott Kavanaugh, who bobbled the ball and aborted the field goal attempt. The Broncos went on to win that game 17-16, so that field goal might have provided a winning margin. This reminds me how great it looks at football games in Denver and Green Bay and New England and Chicago and Buffalo when it snows.
Don't forget a place where it snows often. It looks great. Cleveland. Don't forget. I know you've been in that place when there have been some nice snow games. I certainly have been.
That's right. I left out Cleveland. I shouldn't have done that. Happy trails to Chet Holmgren, Zion Williamson, Kevin Durant, Anthony Davis, and Jimmy Butler. Let's take the injuries one by one. Young Thunder star Chet Holmgren fell and fractured his pelvis while defending the rim. He will be reevaluated in 8 to 10 weeks. After a strong start to the season, Zion Williamson of the Pelicans out several weeks, left hamstring strain. Sun star Kevin Durant will miss 2 weeks with a left calf strain. He's been averaging nearly 28 a game. Anthony Davis of the Lakers left last night's win over the Raptors after getting poked in an eye. And Heat forward Jimmy Butler missed last night's win over the Timberwolves with a right ankle sprain suffered in Friday night's loss to the Nuggets.
These injuries are to significant stars, players, contributors, and they're killing the early season NBA. Chet Holmgren, Tony, is a focal point. Not the best player. People might even argue he's not the second best player on his team, given the way Jalen Williams is playing. But he is essential. He is a coming big man, might be the most improved player in the league. And I don't know what this means for them because Hartenstein's out, too, for at least a couple more weeks. I don't know what it means for OKC, which I think could challenge Boston to win a championship. And Golden State's going to benefit. I know they don't want to benefit this way, but, man, seeing Holmgren go down like that's a bummer.
He fractured his pelvis.
Oh, my goodness.
They're going to reevaluate him in 8 to 10. And Zion Williamson, availability.
Again.
It's never there. We talked about this every year. It's never there. Let's go to the
Bad
big
stuff.
finish.
Let's do
The
it.
Winnipeg Jets are 14-1. The Cleveland Cavaliers are 11-0. What's the bigger deal?
Well, that's the best NHL start we're told, but unblemished, 11-0 is unblemished. So I'm going to go with the Cavaliers in that regard. The Niners beat the Buccaneers on Jake Moody's field goal after he had missed 3. Your thoughts?
Deebo Samuel went after the snapper because he was jawing at the kicker, and the snapper defended the kicker. Woo! Missed 3. Joey Logano won the NASCAR Cup Series for the 3rd time. You were there. Your report?
It's a hell of a race with some drama with Ryan Blaney down the stretch. Was great. I was rooting for Tyler Reddick, MJ's driver. It didn't work out the way I'd hoped. Atlanta United eliminated Lionel Messi, your boy, and Inter Miami. Take that.
Yeah, that canceled playoffs. Nobody new was coming in to watch that. Just the people who automatically watch it anyway. Last one, Dolphins-Rams tonight, Monday Night Football. If the Rams win their 4th straight, are they a contender?
I think they actually are, Tony. Particularly if they can get and keep their receivers on the field for a while. Yeah, they really are.
We're out of time. We will try and do better the next time. Happy anniversary, Elizabeth and Ron.
I'm Mike Wilbon. Same time tomorrow, knuckleheads. And now to get you set for Monday Night Football, here's Scott Van Pelt and the Countdown crew.